If you're a new Neverwinter player or a player beginning your Neverwinter journey in 2021, then this video with 12 tips I have for new and beginning players in 2021 is for you. I've done a lot of Neverwinter guides and how-to videos for new players and players that don't have the time to grind all day for currency. Players that like to grind for Astral Diamonds, but mostly players that don't have best-in-slot gear and just like to enjoy the game and are happy to survive their encounters. Keep in mind that Neverwinter has a lot of depth to it, and the 12 tips for new players will also be helpful for returning and casual players. I have specific tips that can be expanded upon, but I wanted to give you enough information to sink your teeth into, or to give you some traction without making this a 2-hour video. So Neverwinter's 12 tips for new players in 2021. Let's start with tip number 1. Don't worry about buying or farming, and farming is repetitively or grinding or replaying specific content. I think you get that, for special gear that top tier players have and use because you will easily find the equipment and weapons you need as you work your way up through the regular campaigns. When you're campaigning your way through the quests and level it up, you'll find that the weapons, armor, rings, enchantments, and other items you come across are sufficient to give you a sometimes challenging but mostly enjoyable experience, at least until you reach level 80. I personally have enjoyed many of Neverwinter's campaigns. I like to explore different caves and areas, but that's how I play. If you really like to explore some strange and cool places in Neverwinter, a friend of mine called Enyo has some interesting parkour videos you might want to check out. She makes YouTube videos about Neverwinter as well. And you can tell her Ekimon said hi, or BTP. Tip number 2 for new players in 2021. Make sure you get all the inventory space you can, especially the free bags, meaning you don't pay an in-game currency called Astral Diamonds or premium currency called Zen, because they can be acquired through campaigns. And as you follow the campaigns, the Black Lake District close to the Crown, Neverwinter's graveyard area after completing the Clockwork Guild quest, and in my last video I mistakenly said that Sibylla gave you a quest where you can get a bag, but that's no longer available. And thank you Felipe Flores for letting me know about that. But you can get a bag during Never Members recruitment event that happens a couple times a year, where you get game currency that you can use to buy a runic bag that has 36 slots. You have a chance to get one in the Temple of Tiamat as a drop. And I have other videos I made showing exactly where you do those quests in Black Lake and Neverdeath Graveyard. And they were a mix of gameplay and questing, done in my old style, so please bear with me on those. I also have a recent release that gives you more information on how to get more storage space if you want it beyond the bags, which is an important guide for new, returning, or any player really, because storage space is very important. You can click on that link below down in the video description. And just so you know, I also do tech and how-to videos that you can check out. And if you need some good gear at a reasonable price, I have links to equipment I actually use or have checked out and recommend, where, in full disclosure, I also get a small commission if you click on one of the links to make a purchase. Tip 3. When you're creating a character, things change over time in Neverwinter, so you want to do a little quick looking around on the web for some recommendations for the character or characters you're thinking of making, because it can make a difference. Now if you really mess up, don't worry too much, as you can always start another one by deleting it after you get a chance and have a feel for how Neverwinter operates. You can also get something called re-roll tokens, which are often handed out with new mod releases, or when they make a big change to a specific character class, or all character classes. They can also be bought on the Zen market as a last resort, or earned during special events. And who knows, you might even decide you don't care for the character class you chose, but things do change over time, and the developers change the way different abilities, gear, even down to your encounter powers and at-will attacks, and the way they operate. So do some research, but don't fret too much. Just focus on the recommendations you find and read over in the notes that the developers give you as you hover over each of the abilities and enjoy the game. And if you're liking this video, please hit the like button or let me know in the comments down below. Tip number 4, make sure you run through the campaigns and the storyline quests Believe it or not, I've played through all the quests in the campaigns, and I should be ashamed to admit that I've done many of them more than once, with different characters. And I know some of you just like to rush through just to get to level 80, so you can get to those goodies, but it will leave you ill-prepared and short some resources for dungeon key production later. And you will miss out on many adventures, and you can earn boons that sometimes have more importance than others, depending on what Cryptic does with the boons. Neverwinter's 12 tips for new players in 2021. Tip 5. One nice way to level up or get some XP or experience points and earn some in-game currency, especially rough Astral Diamonds, is to start joining and doing random queues as often as you can. If you don't have a lot of time, just run them for the first payout, which is the largest. The nice thing is you can queue one up, then continue questing until the notification to join comes up. You can check out my playlists where I have lots of tips and some different ways to get your Astral Diamonds that will help you later in the game. Tip number 6. Since I just mentioned Astral Diamonds, I want to mention Zen. If you buy Zen or want to buy Zen, buy it through Arc and not Steam. There are hold times for the Zen transfer from Steam, and there have been some other issues that have come up. But when you buy it through Arc, you also get extra Zen bonuses at different times of the year. So watch for those Zen bonus announcements to come up, especially during the summer and during Black Friday for the big savings and the other small savings throughout the year. Now, I personally have gotten all my Zen in-game through Astral Diamond conversion. And again, you can take a look at some of my videos about that. Tip number 7, join a guild. It's a great place to hang out with other players that can help you run dungeons or make it through areas you have difficulty with, and you can develop some great friendships too. They're also a great place to get advice about Neverwinter's game mechanics, upcoming changes, best companions for your class to use, and real life stuff. Check out the guild rules before you join one. Believe it or not, some have more rules and restrictions than others. If you join one and it turns out it doesn't suit you, then leave and find another one. If you're not into the social stuff, that can be okay too with the right guild. You can still get some helpful boons depending on the guild's rank and structures that have been built, and possibly some backup if you need it, if you're really only interested in giving it and receiving it occasionally. Tip number 8. As you approach level 80, you can start looking at the auction house to start buying special rings or other equipment that can give you an extra edge, especially as you start working through more advanced campaigns and dungeons and skirmish queues. Since you're now getting into the big boys and girls territory, I want to take a second to talk about the chat features. Zone chat covers all the different zones or all instances of the same map. Say covers the same map you're on. If you've decided to join a guild, you will have a guild chat where only your guild members will see what is said, an alliance chat which covers your guild and the other guilds in the alliance, or guilds your guild has clicked up with. They will all be in the alliance chat. You can also right-click on the player's name that pops up in chat, or if you're on a PC, you can face a character and press the F key to send them a private message when you're playing in Neverwinter. Some campaigns have boss battles that give some great rewards or currencies, and if you watch the chat, players will call out active boss battles, and they can help you switch to join in these epic battles. I mentioned zone chat a moment ago, and basically, and I want to explain this one again, basically a zone is the same map spread out over different areas, and it's really part of a data management thing to help the servers run better. So if you say something or someone says something in zone chat, it will show up in all those different areas. If you or someone uses the save feature, it will only speak to all players on that same map or instance you're in. I hope that's clear. Tip number 9, companions. And companions have gone through another major change, and it's something that gets adjusted from time to time. But basically, at this moment, you can get an augmented or active companion. Now, augmented companions don't fight with you, but they give you a bonus enhancement for additional stats. And for a little while in recent history, augmented companions were the way to go. But before augmented companions were popular and recommended, active companions were the go-to choice. Until Cryptic changed things. The point here is I recommend you get a good solid active companion or an augmented companion right now that supports your playstyle and supports the stats you need. So if you play DPS, you want something to help you or your group's DPS or damage per second. But don't spend all your time chasing the best companions that all the top tier players are using, because they will be very expensive. Because everyone's buying them, it pushes the prices up on the auction house, and they're being recommended in different tutorial videos. So I recommend looking for a one-off, so to speak, that will help you get through, and this will take a little digging on your part, but trust me, it will save you a lot of Astral Diamonds and or Zen, especially when Cryptic nerfs or modifies the most sought-after companions because of players' complaints about how unfair things are about the extreme effectiveness of a small particular or expensive companion or companions, or Cryptic just decides it's a great idea to mix things up once again. And several million Astral Diamonds spent getting the best in-game companion or group of companions, then spending yet more Astral Diamonds to level them up to Mythic, suddenly goes poof. And now everyone wants the next hot group. Trust me, it will happen. What you want to do here is take it slow with your companion choice. Get some cheap ones on the auction house or in Protector's Enclave to get you started. But don't spend Astral Diamonds or companion upgrade tokens to level them up until you really have the companions you want. And if you're a casual player, you probably don't even want to take them all the way to Mythic. Now, if you're shy, you can watch the zone chat and players will talk about these things, and they can be a good guide. And you can learn more in chat if you're in a guild, and that's a great place to get help. And I'll put a link to at least one site where you can at least see what some other players are using, so you can get more ideas about your companions. I recommend picking one really good one, then others that will do what you need, but don't worry so much about being the top scoring DPS player. Now I'm DPS, so I focus on that mainly. But if you're a tank or a healer, the same rules apply, unless you do Neverwinter videos and DPS is your thing. Just get what you need for healing or DPS, which can help end it all quickly. If you need some extra healing, get one for healing, or if you're DPS, get one to end the combat quickly, just to help you. To help you if you're mainly a solo player, and or your party, if that's your thing. But remember, just enjoy the game. Neverwinter's 12 tips for new players in 2021. Tip number 10. Something else that can help you, especially when you might be underpowered and undergeared, when participating in daily random dungeons and skirmishes, is to use elixirs, foods including event foods, potions, stronghold foods, invocations. Now you need to know that you can only have one of each type active at a time. You can use one, but for example, if you have two invocations, the second one you activate will overwrite the first one. I hope that's clear, but that applies to each of those groups. Tip 11. If you need help, ask for it. That's one of the great things about Neverwinter's chat system. You will often find players willing to help you through a difficult quest or boss fight, unless it's strictly a solo situation where it's part of one of the campaign quests. But most of Neverwinter allows you to party up, and you don't have to be in a guild to do it. Just ask for help, and players will come to your aid. Tip number 12. In 2021, with Mod 20 Shardar changes, I want to give you a little information about that. And remember, again, things do change in Neverwinter from time to time. And as a new player, I don't recommend that you chase gear to maximize your stats, because, and trust me on this, you will be frustrated chasing all these rabbit holes if you try to get all the best gear, best companions, best mounts, to get the most out of all of your stats when you're starting out, even if that's your personality. And there are ways and methods to power through things, but that's not what this video is about. You'll get frustrated by the mountain you have to climb to get everything to its maximum potential. And it isn't even possible to do this if you're a new player, unless you're a millionaire or have enough to pay someone to grind for you while you're not playing. And I'm pretty sure that's against the terms of service, and I don't recommend it. For DPS class, you want to look for equipment in your Neverwinter's adventures that will give you power, combat advantage, critical chance, and critical severity. Try to keep these stats close together to get the most out of them, with accuracy following close behind. For healers, concentrate on power and outgoing healing and crit. For tanks, you want to focus on defense and awareness, deflect severity, and critical avoidance. And try to get your main stats as close to 80% as you can. Now, like I said, I'm mainly DPS, and if I'm off on some of those stats, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Make sure you take a look at my Neverwinter's playlists that have some more great tips and help for new, returning, and really all players. Make sure you subscribe so you can come back for more, and I hope this helps.